Hello and welcome. You are listening to the Gay with God podcast, a safe place for us to share our stories and support one another. How long did we know? What challenges did we face? Did we lose our faith? When did we find our way back home? Or are we still searching? The stories you hear on this podcast will melt your heart and strengthen your belief that in God, all things are possible, and you can be authentically gay with the God of your understanding. I am your host, Midge Noble, and I am very honored that you are here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Gay with God podcast. I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you so much always for your support and your willingness to share this with other people. Before we get started today, I want to remind you that I have a special read out event coming up in September. It's going to be September 26th, Thursday evening, Eastern Standard Time at 7 o'clock, and I would love to have you join me. I'm going to be reading parts of my memoir, and we're going to be talking about religious trauma, how that affects LGBTQIA plus authors, and how it also impacts our children in school. So it's going to be a great time for us to have a conversation together. And it's just not me doing a presentation, it's us coming together to talk about how banning books affects us on a personal level, on a cultural level, a societal level, and especially how it's affecting young children who need to have access to information so that they can become their authentic self. And to recognize that we all live in different situations with different family compilations, that we can learn to be empathetic and understanding and loving to people who are not like us, but still part of this human family. So please join me for the virtual readout on September 26th at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You can go to defenseofdemocracy.org to look at all the different readouts that are available. Click on the one that says Gay with God, and you will be directed to my specific page, and you will be able to register for free to be a part of the conversation. And if you feel led to donate for this worthy cause, you can also find the donate button there. I'll be putting this link that's a direct link to my page on the show notes, but if you don't go there at empoweredmidge.podbean.com, just go to defenseofdemocracy.org/readout, and you should be able to find everything you need. I hope to see you there. Today, I would like to ask, may I share the word with you? Now, that's a really weird way to say that, isn't it? The word with you instead of can I share a word with you or can we have a conversation? Because the word today isn't just speaking words, it's talking about logos, the word. And the logos is a very powerful part of the Bible. The word logos means word and also means reason. So we know that in the Jewish tradition that the Jews really thought of the powerful and creative word of God. I think it's very important to think about the other side of that as far as creation goes, that if the word was in the beginning and nothing could be created without the word, then it is very clear to me that the word being Jesus was in the beginning of all creation, that the Christian tradition of seeing the Trinity is not just happening when Jesus is born into physical flesh and divinity. Jesus was present with the Holy Spirit and God in the beginning of creation. So when I say, may I share the word with you, anytime we're talking about Jesus, we are also talking about sharing a birthright that we all share, a birthright that is steeped in mystery, Because, as you've heard me say before, the entire mystery of where God existed from, how were they all just here? How did that happen? This is one of those faith mysteries that we will never understand, and yet we live with this tension of holding both faith and mystery and trying to bring some sort of clarity in all of that. How do we live with that mystery? The Word was made flesh. So the Word being present in this energy force field, as I think of it, that it's all just energy. Because how do we authentically exist on this earth with different races, genders, backgrounds, identities? How do we all have the image of God? How are we created in the image of God? For me, the only thing that makes sense to me is the energy of those creative presences, however they originated from, are all present in energy before creation. If the Word was part of the creation, then nothing was here. It was void. Now, maybe something is somewhere else that we haven't discovered yet, but as far as where we're concerned, nothing was here. The stars, the light, the sun, the moon, the waters, the land, all of that had to be created. And so did we. So when the Word became flesh, that connected us as children of God. The Word became flesh, and then we as humans became flesh. And that little piece, that teeny tiny little piece of divinity is within us as our birthright, and that connects us all of us on this planet are connected as the children of the God of our understanding. God is always present in everything that we do because we are a part of that creation. We have light within us because the light came into us. And we can never be separated from that presence of God and the Trinity within us. We were talking in a Bible study last night about understanding the grace of God, understanding that no matter how many times we turn away, how many times we want to go in a different direction, that we are always in God's grace, that God is always present to bring us back wherever we've wandered away from. God is also present, and we can see God through Jesus because Jesus is just an extension of that Trinity to come to earth to help us understand God in a human form. Jesus tells us who God is because Jesus tells us who we are. I am part of Logos, and so are you. So if I am lining myself up to be the hands and the feet and the mouth of Jesus on earth, I am definitely connected to the work that Jesus did, and I am connected to the work that I've been given. We are empowered by this presence within us to do things. We can do the things that we are called to do if we are in the light. Now, that's always been an interesting concept for me. It talks about pray for anything you want, faith of a mustard seed, you can get whatever you want. Now, there is a caveat to that, and that is that I need to be lined up with my energy force, with where I was created from, and line up with that particular energy in order to do the things that I've been called to do. If I'm just doing random things that are hurting others, if I'm doing random things that belittle others, take the rights away from others, if I'm doing negative, dark things, then the light is not going to agree with that. The light is not going to be present. But when I'm lining myself up with the light of love, when I'm lining myself up with the light of forgiveness and grace and compassion, then I am empowered to do the things that God needs done on this earth. We are all collectively working together to bring a wonderful, wonderful presence back to earth that we can all commune with. We commune energetically now, we commune through our heart space, but wouldn't it be nice to be able to sit at the feet of a tangible, I can touch you, Jesus, and listen to the wisdom as we all get to revel in that together. At least that's my vision of what heaven would be, that we would all have this great presence just moving around and among us, that we could see, that we could tangibly come in contact with Jesus and maybe receive that embrace of the hug that Jesus gives, that we can feel energetically maybe, but I would really love to just be in the physical presence of Jesus. Darkness comes because the light is not present, and the light is only not present when we allow darkness to enter. Because you see, darkness is really not the absence of light. Evil is the absence of light. So nothing can penetrate the light. Darkness doesn't have the power to penetrate the light. The light penetrates the darkness. If you go into a dark room and you turn on the light, there is no darkness. But if the light is on, darkness can't come. The light has to be turned off for that to happen. I used to talk to the kids about that I worked with when we were talking about behaviors that are getting them into trouble. And I used a lamp in my office as a symbol of the light that we want to put out in the world, good, loving energy. And that light would be turned off whenever we talked about the behaviors that were getting them into trouble, whether they were getting into fights or saying ugly words or stealing or whatever behaviors were getting them into trouble. I talked about that as darkness, and that the light turning it back on are the behaviors that keep them out of trouble. Being kind, saying nice words, following rules, doing your chores with a happy heart, all of those things. So when we talk about evil and darkness and light and the word, we're talking about living in that presence of good energy, basically. Energy that's going to uplift ourselves and others, energy that's going to be able to be kind and compassionate and full of grace and forgiveness. And these days, as we've talked about, it's pretty hard to keep the light on, isn't it? Yeah, pretty hard. And so that's the journey that we have as being flesh. The Word became flesh, but also the Word was divine. And so the divinity part was able to do much more, I think, than full flesh people, because we have a lot of struggles and we don't have always access to have as much divine power as Jesus did. But we are empowered by being the children of God. So how can we use that? How can we use that power within us, that little piece of divinity, that we can then be the heart, hands, and feet of Jesus? How do we bring that into our world today with gun violence, with mass murders, with countries fighting each other, with politicians being willing to go back to a dictatorship, stripping the rights of people, taking LGBTQIA plus people's rights away, and putting us back into fear of being killed and harassed and losing jobs and losing homes and losing our right to be married. I I know that the fear is pressing in on us. I know that we are wanting to fight back, to, be absolutely as mean to them as they're trying to be to us. I feel it. I know some of you feel it. And those who don't feel it, I need to stand closer to you because sometimes my energy field does get dark because I've turned off the light and I've gone into fear. Faith and fear do not exist together. So every time that I've recognized that I've definitely gone into like total fear mode, I have to stop, take a breath, and go back to connecting to the faith of all that is. Understanding that I don't have the answers, I don't have a crystal ball, I don't see into the future, but I can see into my heart, and I know when I'm not living the way I need to live and the way I want to live. I feel so much better when I am the heart, hands, and feet of Jesus, when I can be a positive influence in the world and the positive energy that I want to always maintain. So it is a back and forth for us, really, because we come out with really good intentions and we come out believing that we can be positive in the world. And it only takes one TikTok or one Instagram or one Facebook post or wherever you're getting your news to to knock us right off of that. And maybe it's just me, but I'm not thinking it's just me. And I know that we are all struggling to be the word in the world, to do what we need to do in order to keep ourselves going in a positive way. What I can tell you is that the mystery will never be solved until it's all over. Until the new kingdom comes, and yet we are responsible for bringing that to us. So if you are Christian, if you follow those traditions, you know what I'm talking about, that you know Jesus will return. Jesus is bringing a new kingdom, and yet the new kingdom has to be already created here. So that new kingdom is not only him coming to the new kingdom, we need to be doing a better job of being loving, kind, a positive agent. That doesn't mean that we lay down and let the dictators take over, but we have to find that way of being outspoken and not allowing the darkness to enter our hearts. I speak truth to power every day. I don't back down when someone is talking about something that I disagree with, but I'm really trying to check my energy about when I speak up and I'm doing something out of just being ugly and wanting to hurt them back, or am I speaking truth to power in a compassionate, grace-filled way? Am I being the Word the way Jesus would be the Word? And Jesus would sometimes get a little testy, but he was never cruel, and he was not ever doing something that wasn't for the greater good. And so I want to be a part of the greater good of the Word. I want to be exactly what I was created to be, a change agent, love in action, compassion in action, bringing loving kindness to the world, and speaking truth to power from that space. So, if I may share the word with you, I would love for you to also share the word with others. I would love for all of us to change the energy of the world, to bring us all up in our vibration of being a powerful, loving, non fearful agent of change, and taking that truth to not just power, but taking that truth to an energetic, loving power, because that's what we were created to do, and that's what we're called to do, and that's what Jesus always did. Was he spoke truth to power to the Pharisees. He spoke truth to power to his disciples. He did not hold back. He was the most sometimes confusing as he spoke, but very transparent. He came and he told it the way it was. I am the bread of life. I am the Word. I am the Word in flesh. And that is who we are. We are the Word as we are created to be children of God. So may we go into this dark space and turn on our light, because there's a lot of darkness out there. Let's be the ones to turn on the light. I love you guys. I hope that you have a wonderful day. Please remember to go to the show page at empoweredmidge.podbean.com and check out the link to join me for the readout on September 26th at 6 o'clock. And also go to the show page to learn more about me if you don't know about me. If you would like to be able to connect with me, that's exactly where you will find me, is on the show page at empoweredmidge.podbean.com. Scroll all the way down to the bottom and you'll see my contact information. That's where you can find links to a complimentary session if you would like to have some coaching with me. You will find also where to find the memoir if you would like to order that. I'm also on Facebook. You can like my personal page, Midge Noble. And you can also find the group Gay with God on Facebook that I run. And we do a monthly My Faith Journey Zoom meeting to support people in their faith journeys and also to be a really powerful, loving source for one another. If you are listening to this podcast and are questioning whether you can be gay and be in a relationship with the God of your understanding, if you identify as LGBTQIA+, or not even sure if you are gay, God has always been within you. Even when you didn't know it, you have always been gay with God. Thank you, everybody. Stay tuned to see how you can join the Gay with God community. And as always, you are loved. I want to invite you to become a part of the Gay with God community. How can you do that? Stay connected by messaging me your thoughts and comments in the comment section under the downloads of the show on the Gay with God show page. Subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen and share so we can increase our community outreach and be a light to those who are struggling to claim their faith. Consider being a sponsor so I can highlight your service in our community. We are all worthy of respect and a relationship with the God of our understanding. I want to thank you in advance for supporting this podcast. Together, we as a community will keep this show visible and our community stronger. Deep gratitude to my friend Tim McClendon of Tim McClendon Music for allowing me to use an excerpt from Interlude 4, a song found on his CD entitled Sundance.